Greetings, metalheads, and welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews. I'm George, and today I'm back with a very long overdue bands you need to hear review, a band recommendation that if you haven't heard of this particular band before, or maybe you've heard of them, never actually checked out their music, or maybe even you're just a casual listener, you've heard bits and pieces, whatever it is, this is a band you absolutely need to hear, you need to get familiar with, and definitely delve into their excellent catalogue. So today's band you need to hear, I have actually been neglecting my recommendations for bands for a few weeks now, actually, or a couple of months it must be. I've realised I have been neglecting that. But today's band you need to hear is not such an obscure band. Let's face it, Dark Funeral from Sweden, from Stockholm, Sweden, or around there, founded in around 1993. They are not an obscure, unheard of band. Dark Funeral and their iconic logo, as you can see here on one of my props, is something that I'm sure is very familiar to many metalheads. Even if you're not all that familiar with the band, probably seen that great logo on festival lineups or on various formats of media, maybe online, whatever. But Dark Funeral, yes, they are widely appreciated. They are a highly regarded band. They're not a small, obscure band. You know, they're generally right up there in their tours, lineups, festival lineups, things like that. However, they are definitely a band, if you're not familiar with, then you really need to check them out, because I've been listening to Dark Funeral for a long time now. I couldn't be too specific, but a long time. And I have to say, Dark Funeral have, for me, become a favourite black metal band. And they are an outright black metal band with their own signature sound and style. And we'll get onto that in a moment. But they really are one of the, in my opinion, my humble opinion, one of the best black metal bands in the business. They are fast and furious. They are evil and sinister. And it's just fantastic. And I totally appreciate, if you're a die-hard lifer of black metal fan, then no doubt you know their catalogue inside and out, upside down. You've seen them 1,000 times. Absolutely appreciate that. But for some people, some metalheads, they might not have actually heard the music. So this is for you. If you're looking for something to get your teeth into, Dark Funeral have only, within that sort of 30 plus year life, only 7 full-length albums. And there's some live albums in there. There's also certainly a very crucial EP. But there's some amazing metal to get your teeth into. So, Dark Funeral from Sweden. A band that have, as I say, very good studio albums. Amazing, fantastic studio albums. I can't comment on their live presence because I've only heard the live material. There's a succession of reissued versions of the first sort of 5 albums that have live tracks, but I've never had the pleasure of actually seeing Dark Funeral live. I'm hoping to remedy that early next year, 2025, where they are doing a European tour with Flesh God Apocalypse, and I'm going to look into the logistics of catching them at their London show for that, because I would very much like to finally see Dark Funeral. But they have quite notably had a lot of lineup changes. So although the band was founded in 1993 by the kind of main man, Lord Ahriman, and I believe that's correct. Lord Ahriman, yes, as we can see a little shot on the back of this CD there. The main man and guitarist, one of the founding members, along with Black Moon on guitars also. So this is actually the first release here in a slightly different format. This is the In the Sign EP, which I've recently showed off in a collection update. I say recently, it was probably ages ago now. It feels recently to me, but this is actually their first self-titled EP, coupled with quite an extensive amount of bonus tracks here, including live tracks and some all-important Bathory covers as well. But that core duo was short-lived. Black Moon left the band after quite a short while. But Lord Ahriman has carried on with a number of different vocalists, a number of different musicians coming and going. But the core of the band, being Lord Ahriman, has stayed the same. But amazingly, the sound of the band has been very consistent. I personally feel it's been very, very consistent over the years. And they really are, Dark Funeral really are an absolutely fantastic band. Not only are they a crucial black metal band, but because of the fury and the brutality of their metal, I personally feel they would sit quite comfortably in a death metal heads collection as well, because of that pummeling intensity. Now, Dark Funeral overall, their sound is quite far removed, aside from the fact that it is still second wave black metal, it's still quite far removed from the Norwegian bands, the Norwegian scene, the late 80s into early 90s, in that kind of second wave black metal explosion that we had, of course. They do sound very far removed from that. The closest comparison that I could make is probably a band like Marduk, who are also a Swedish black metal band, also founded very early on in that crucial second wave of black metal period. And Marduk are also a brutal band. Very heavy, very extreme. It's fast, it's furious, and that's exactly what Dark Funeral is. But as I say, Dark Funeral is very unique. I can't necessarily say that there are too many other peers to Dark Funeral, other than maybe Marduk, as I say, that sound like Dark Throne. Dark Throne have their own identity, very signature. So we'll go through some of the, we'll just go in succession. We might as well. And I'm going to sort of turn this into a bit of a collection reflection as well. So I did start that a while back with talking about Dismember and showing off all the gear of Dismember that I had in my collection, but that was short-lived. I'm going to pick that up soon with a very special review, but I'm going to show off all that I have in my collection of Dark Funeral, because I've got some cool stuff, actually. So we'll start with the earliest recording. We've got the In the Sign EP. This is essential listening for fans of early second wave black metal. 1993, or, these tracks were going to have been worked on just prior to that, or around that time, certainly early on. It's got a very aggressive, very raw sound to it, and it sounds like caustic black metal. Absolutely fantastic. This EP kicks off with Open the Gates, which is evil in extreme. Vocalist at this time was Themgoroth on bass and vocals. See in the top corner there. Short-lived, because featured on this EP and the following couple of albums. Remind myself, I think it was actually, just the following album, and then departed the band for various reasons. But we had the core duo, the founding duo here, Black Moon and Lord Ahriman, and we also had Draugen on drums. Furious. It sounds great, and I think the brilliance in production here is courtesy of the legendary Dan Swano. This was recorded and mixed at Hellspawn / Unisound Studios in 1994. Originally released May the 4th, 1994. This is fantastic. It's great. It's short and sweet. 4 tracks on the original EP. Open the Gates, as I say, is an absolute mind-blowing bulldozer of a roaring black metal track. Then we get the very sinister Shadows over Transylvania, My Dark Desires, and In the Sign of the Horns. Fantastic. But at that time, very firmly rooted in second wave black metal, and a little bit more akin to some of the stuff that was coming out of Norway. Maybe a little bit of an influence from maybe that's kind of Immortal Abrasion. Having said that, it's very far removed. So, even early on, even at the very beginning, Dark Funeral really did have their own identity. And this format is fantastic. It's remastered and it has bonus material, which is absolutely worth checking out. Certainly the live versions of some of these early tracks is brilliant. But I do also have that lovely recording, that lovely release in cassette format, courtesy of the wonderful Darkness Shall Rise Productions. And we'll just show this off. So it's just a black cassette shell there. But as always with Darkness Shall Rise, really high quality stuff. I know I've showed this off recently. I love that lineup shot as well. That is so black metal, so evil and cult and true. But it's fantastic. So this is a good place to start. In fact, if I'm not much mistaken, this was actually the first release that I heard of the band. I think it was because it was the cheapest available when I wanted to hear what all the noise was about, all the praise, all the fuss, and it was the cheapest. And then I realised it was an EP, but I was not disappointed because it's fantastic. But what is absolutely amazing, in my opinion, is the debut album. So this is The Secrets of the Black Arts. Now, we've already by this point got a lineup change. So drummer has changed here. Now got Equimanthorn on drums. You can see in the corner there. But I love this album. I love the cover. That is absolutely fantastic. I should take that out. But this is an interesting album. So this was released in, I believe it was 1994 or 1995. I actually can't quite recall. It doesn't actually say it. Oh no, recorded in 1995. So I assume released in the same year, January. That is an amazing cover. I love that. I very nearly bought a t-shirt with that cover on recently, and maybe I will. But the interesting thing about this debut is that it comes in two versions. So we do actually have both versions here in this quite recent reissue. So the first version we get is on disc 1 is actually the re-record, or remastered I should say, is remastered at Abyss Studios by none other than Hypocrisy and Pain frontman and producer extraordinaire Peter Tagtgren, a Swedish legend, of course. The original, which is on disc 2, is the Unisound recording. So that one was recorded by Dan Swano, or produced, I should say, by Dan Swano. But the band weren't happy with it. They thought that it sounded, I think to quote Lord Ahriman, it sounded flat. So it suffered from, flatness, which he did not particularly appreciate. So it did get a little bit of a revamp by Peter Tagtgren, and it sounds fantastic, I will admit. I think the remastered version there is fantastic. But this is crucial, raw black metal. I absolutely love it. But what I will say about this album in particular, the debut, unlike the albums that follow, unlike many of the albums that follow, I should say, this has a real ambience to it as well. There's a really, like a dark atmosphere to it that cover perfectly represents. And it is fantastic. It includes some truly wonderful tracks here. We do have a track from a couple of tracks from that EP where we have, pre-recorded versions there. We've got My Dark Desires and Shadows over Transylvania. But other tracks such as The Secrets of the Black Arts, The Dawn No More Rises, When Angels Die Forever. It's absolutely fantastic. Dark Other Paths to Eternity. And there is a Von cover of Satanic Blood as well, which is very good. But this is a brilliant album. This is a very good album. Certainly would appease fans of some of the more melodic edged black metal bands, second wave black metal bands, definitely. But I love this. Is one of my, I say it's one of my favourites. They're all cracking albums, but I hold this one in very high regard indeed. But the next album is legendary. But before I get onto that, I will show also a double tape version. So we've got the again Darkness Shall Rise Productions. How could I forget? Double tape So we have both the Unisound and the Abyss Studios recordings on this lovely fat tape. Awesome. Absolutely fantastic. Look at that. Evil diabolicism. Evil, evil, evil. Amazing. Love it. It's a fantastic album, start to finish, full of energy, full of mysticism and magic as well. I think that's one of the things I really love about black metal, and certainly about Dark Funeral, is that there's almost like a danger. You feel like a sense of danger listening to their music. Like this is a ticket, a one-way ticket to the underworld. Absolutely. Fantastic. So Secrets of the Black Arts there. As I alluded to, the next album, second album, Vobiscum Satanus. This is freaking fantastic. Absolutely love this album. This, for a long time, has been a favourite Dark Funeral album of mine. Show off that amazing cover. So it was recorded and mixed again at Abyss Studios by Dark Funeral and Peter Tagtgren. Recorded and mixed January 1997. So released later that year, I believe. But wow, this is pummeling. Just like where Marduk kicked things up a notch with their Heaven Shall Burn album, Vobiscum Satanus sees Dark Funeral kick things up to a new level of extremity and aggression, which is absolutely freaking delightful. I absolutely love this album. It kicks off with Ravenna Strigoi Morti, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, which is fantastic, and it is a brilliant introduction, introducing you to the new vocalist and bassist, Emperor Magnus Caligula, who sounds incredible. He is the former vocalist of Hypocrisy, so there's a bit of a crossover with Peter Tagtgren, and of course his former bandmate, Emperor Magnus Caligula, who was vocalist on the first couple of albums, I believe. Absolutely fantastic, brilliant vocalist, better than his predecessor in my opinion, in different ways. Obviously we've still got Lord Ahriman, but Black Moon is out of the band by this point, replaced by Typhus. And then on drums we have Alzazmon. Never really, Alzazmon? I don't know. Never really pronounced that one very well, but this is a cracking album. Brilliant tracks here. As I say, the opening to the album there is brilliant. Enriched by Evil is furious. This is just blast beats, terrifying riffs, unhallowed vocals, amazing. Thy Legions Come is amazing. Slava Satana is evil. Black Winged Horde is superb. The title track is a highlight here, of course, Vobiscum Satanus. Ineffable Kings of Darkness is a classic, and this particular version has a nice run of bonus live tracks as well. Vobiscum, absolutely amazing. This is next level stuff, and it shows a matured, in some ways, matured sound. You know, they're honing their sound by this point, and it is monstrous. And again, A Darkness Shall Rise, lovely tape version here, which I've listened to many times. I think this is fantastic. I really want to get on vinyl. I know Osmos Records, Osmos Productions have a nice variation of vinyl versions of Vobiscum, and I want to get my hands on a copy. So, fast forward to the next album, the first of the orange album covered run. This is an interesting one, because again, it's like Dark Funeral have stepped up a notch once more. This is Diabolis Interum. Wow. Again, still got Emperor Magnus Caligula, I should say. We've now got Dominion on guitars alongside Ahriman, and then we've got Matt Modin on drums. There's a lineup again. You get the impression there's a lot of changes here, and interestingly, this album, it's definitely a progression. I feel like this is actually more of a refined album. Maybe whereas Vobiscum is punishing in the extreme, this is almost a little bit kind of more streamlined. Actually drying out the throat, all this excitement talking about Dark Funeral. Gotta love a bit of Trooper Pale Ale from Robinson's Brewery. Metal and delicious. So, Diabolis Interum. Not as keen on the cover there, but still good. Certainly still very dark funeral because it is diabolical and evil. But I actually personally really love this album as well. And I think that this is an album that has certainly grown on me steadily over time. It does include an interesting array of bonus tracks on this version, including a surprisingly very good King Diamond cover, The Trial. We've also got a Slayer cover, Dead Skin Mask. But it's the actual album tracks that are superb here. It kicks off with the arrival of Satan's Empire into Hail Murder. We've then got the very, well, I say sleazy, but it's certainly diabolical and heretical Goddess of Sodomy, which is actually one of the best tracks on the album. It's just not the sort of thing that you want to be playing, you know, maybe when your mum's in the room. But title track is amazing as well. The Apprentice of Satan is brilliant. Thus I Have Spoken. This is one of those albums where it absolutely seamlessly flows. There is distinction between tracks, definitely, but it is furious start to finish. Maybe things do take a little bit of a steadier pace with tracks like Goddess of Sodomy, for example. And Heart of Ice, the track number 8, the closing track there, it has real flow, real sequence. It seamlessly flows one track to the next, and it's just brilliant. It's absolutely masterful. I love it. Start to finish, this is a corker of an album. Guitars, the riffs are amazing. Lord Ahriman has such a great guitar sound. His riffs are brilliant. The drumming is absolutely full throttle. Emperor Magnus Caligula, definitely a very capable and very good vocalist as well. And his vocals really do shine through here. Up next, we have kind of the sore thumb album, to be honest. This is Aera Totus Sanctus, which can't quite recall the year. I think it came out around 2005. This one does sound a little bit different. So again, we've had another lineup change. We've still got Matt Modin on drums, but we've got, is it Chag Mole? I can never quite remember the pronunciation there. On guitar. So another lineup change, and there is a distinct difference in this album. I feel that this is a heavy album. It's very extreme, although there is a surprising kind of melodic edge to it. Definitely, there's a surprising melodicism there. It's got some great tracks, like the first track, King Antichrist. 666 Voices Inside is great. The title track is brilliant. God Hate. One of my favourite tracks is Atrum Regina, which is brilliant. Angel Flesh Impaled, Feed on the Mortals, and Final Ritual. All good songs, and there are some crucially top quality, brilliant moments there, standout tracks. But overall, this does sound quite different to the raw, unrestricted brutality of certainly the second and third albums there. It's a good album though, and actually it has really grown on me over time as well. And for some unknown reason, this album I did overlook for quite a long time. I think owing to the fact that the first 3 albums are absolutely superb, and then you've got something which is maybe just a little bit of a dip in quality. Still great though. You know, testament to Dark Funeral that even an album that isn't quite as good as their normal level of quality is still a fantastic album. So it is a good one. Definitely worth checking out. And it would definitely appeal more to fans of more melodic black metal. But again, the bonus live tracks here are fantastic. And actually, there's a 2005 re-recorded version of Open the Gates. I don't know if you can see that there, which is absolutely fantastic. Cracking stuff. Up next, we've got the last album to feature Emperor Magnus Caligula on vocals, and this is Angelus, Exuro, Proeternus. The final of the 3 orange album covered run. And you will not be surprised to hear that we've again had lineup changes. So we've now got Dominator on drums and B-Force on bass, Lord Ahriman guitars alongside Chak Moll as well. More live bonus tracks in South America as well. But this is a good album. This is much more akin, in my opinion, to Diabolis Sanctus. It's kind of reaching back to that kind of sound and style. Kicks off with a fantastic track, The End of Human Race, into The Birth of the Vampire, another album highlight. Full throttle. Those riffs are just mesmerizing. It's like having your face blasted off by ice. It's cold, evil black metal, but this is pure satanic brilliance. And that is outright what it is. This is satanic mastery. They did a deal with the devil to make music this good. Then we've got Stigmata, fantastic. My Funeral, which is a little bit more of a steadier pace, a little bit more mid-pace, melodic track. The title track, Angelus, Exuro, Proeternus, is amazing. Demons of Five, Declaration of Hate, In My Dreams, another slower pace track. So there is a little bit more variation here. I think that, again, Dark Funeral have evolved. They've refined. They've added a few more different tastes and flares to their music. You know, they were clearly experimenting quite a lot on Aera, Totus, Sanctus. But I think they've experimented again, but also kind of taken stock and incorporated a little bit more of what they were doing on their second and third albums. But this is a fantastic one. Absolutely brilliant. This was, again, an Abyss Studios recorded album in 2009 by Peter Tagtgren. And actually, if I remember correctly, yes, Aera Totus Sanctus, another reason why it probably sounds so different, is that it was actually a step away. So this was recorded by Daniel Bergstrand and Örjan Örnklo, if that's pronounced correctly. Apologies if it's not. So it's different at Dugout Studios in Sweden. So it's a different production team there. But then they've obviously gone back to Peter Tagtgren and things are back on track again. But then there's more lineup changes. There's a step away. Emperor Magnus Caligula leaves the band, but they come back after quite a number of years. So I think it's about 7 years in between Angelus, Exuro, Proeternus and the follow-up album, Where Shadows Reign Forever. Forever Reign. Where Shadows Forever Reign. Always say that the wrong way around. This album is stunning. This is a fantastic album. It's a great return to form where, I say return to form, a return on fine form, to be honest, with such a brilliant album cover. I love that so much. So much so that I do have it on a t-shirt here, which I will show in a moment. But Dark Funeral have had a little bit of a change here, although it's recorded again at Dugout Studios. So they've gone back to Daniel Bergstrand and Lord Ahriman producing. So we've got Dominator on drums, still with the band there. Then we've got I can never pronounce this. Madra on vocals. I'm not sure of the pronunciation. I apologise. Murdered it, I know. And then we've got Chak Moll on guitars, or Chak Moll, not sure. Again, and of course, the legendary Lord Ahriman. Fantastic. And this is a brilliant album. I love this. It kicks off with such a memorable number. And I think there is a much more melodic edge. Overall, this album has a much more refined melodic sound. There's obviously been quite a period of time between these two albums. They've returned to the blue and dark album covers there. You know, I think that's no coincidence that they've kind of gone for that colour scheme that they had with Secret of the Black Arts, because it's almost going back to that. There's a great melodic, almost like a atmospheric nature to this album overall, and it really is packed full of atmosphere. And I will now show off this lovely prop. So I do have this on vinyl, Where Shadows Forever Reign. Love that cover so much. This is an Osmos Productions vinyl. Love it. So cool. And actually, the vinyl itself is glorious. This is one of my favourite pieces of vinyl, owing to the amazing colour of it. Look at this blue. Absolutely glorious. That is amazing. A beautiful, beautiful piece of vinyl. So cool. But it is a cracking album. A cracking, fantastic album. Goodness, put my teeth back in. An absolutely fantastic album, start to finish. Kicks off with such a memorable track in Unchain My Soul, which is, from certainly looking at the number of streams on Spotify, it's a very popular track. It's one of their most successful. We've then got As One We Shall Conquer, which is rousing. It's an anthemic black metal track. Absolutely amazing. Certainly a lot more distinction between tracks. Just looking at the 10 tracks on the track list here, the tracks are by far greater in terms of distinguishment between tracks. Whereas on previous albums, they did tend to just sort of flow rather seamlessly one into the other. These do have a greater separation between tracks. Beast Above Man is pummeling. As I Ascend is evil. Temple of Ahriman is absolutely stunning. Again, full of dark, sinister ambience there. The Eternal Eclipse, To Carve Another Wound, Nail Them to the Cross, and the brilliant title track. Absolutely amazing. Love it, start to finish. And it is a glorious album. It's a favourite. This review was actually born of the fact that I was going to, following on from doing Emperor and Mayhem, I was going to try and do an album ranking of these 7 albums. Naively thinking that some of the albums I hadn't heard in a while, but it was going to be fairly easy. I was very wrong. So that is why we're doing a bands you need to hear of it. And further down the line, when I'm feeling strong and brave enough, I'll do an album ranking. But Where Shadows Reign Forever is absolutely up there as a masterpiece. Very necessary beer and black metal. So then we come up to the most recent album. We Are the Apocalypse from, I think this was 2022. Yep, so a couple of years ago now. Again, this is a fantastic album. So we've still got the same vocalist here, front and centre, and I'm not going to try and murder the pronunciation of his name again. This is a lovely digipack version, actually. But this is a cracking album. It's, in my opinion, it's a very fine continuation of form from Where Shadows Forever Reign. We've still got Lord Ahriman, Chak Moll on guitars. Still got the same vocalist. Then we've got Adra Melek on bass and Yalo Ma on drums. So we've now got a 5-piece. And there is said 5-piece. But it's a fantastic album. Again, it's very streamlined. It's very... Overall, these 2 albums in particular, they sit neatly side by side. They are very rounded. They are very rounded and a good continuation. Although this is 6 years apart, they do sound quite closely related. There is again an element of progression, and I think this album does sound a little bit more brutal than the quite atmospheric and ambient Where Shadows Forever Reign. But they sit side by side very neatly. Kick off with Nightfall, which is absolutely fantastic. It's pummeling. Let the Devil In. Satanic brilliance. When Our Vengeance Is Done. Cracking. Nosferatu. Amazing. When I'm Gone. A little bit more of a melodic track, I'd say. A little bit more of a different pace there. Mid-pace. Beyond the Grave. A Beast of Praise. Leviathan, which is an album highlight for me. Then we close with We Are the Apocalypse, the title track. And I love that album cover. That's a fantastic cover. Really is brilliant. Really eye-catching. And I think that's another feature of Dark Funeral, is that they're their album covers are all brilliant. 7 albums, and of course that crucial In the Sign EP. And you can now get the 30th anniversary re-recorded, re-released debut EP, which I'm desperate to get. I'm just waiting for it to dip a little bit in price online, and then I will snag a copy, of course. But amazing black metal, very different, although there are similarities. It is second wave black metal. It is brutal, it's satanic, it's evil, but it's very far removed from the likes of even Immortal. I said there's that comparison in terms of the aggression with their earlier material, and of course Immortal albums have been produced over the years by Peter Tagtgren, and there's certain similarities, but they're far removed from them, very far removed from Enslaved, far removed from a lot of those bands like Dark Throne and Mayhem. There are similarities, yes, but Dark Funeral really are a very unique and very formidable band. They are fantastic. So I've taken you through all of my media props there, but I do have this rather delightful, and it is delightful, this rather lovely t-shirt of the Where Shadows Forever Reign album cover. Many years ago, when I got that album, when it came out, I did actually have a long sleeve with this artwork on. I love the blue. That's so nice. But I had that on a long sleeve, but maybe it wasn't the best quality, or maybe I just wore it too much. It completely just got warped, and the sleeves got all funny, and oh well. It's now sadly long gone, but I did replace it with that rather nice t-shirt. So Dark Funeral, what else can I really say that I haven't said already about the amazing Dark Funeral? Well, I would say that if you were going to check out one black metal band in the near future, let it be Dark Funeral, because they really are a fantastic band. And if you're a diehard, as I said at the beginning of this review, if you're a diehard black metal fan or a diehard metalhead, I'm sure you are already familiar with. But maybe this has inspired you to check out some of those albums that you might not have heard before or haven't heard in a little while. Maybe. Because in my opinion, judging on Dark Funeral's position within a lot of lineups on festivals and tours, they've recently done I'm not sure if it was co-headlining, I think it might have been, but another tour. I know they've toured with them before, but alongside Cannibal Corpse. Fantastic. And I really do personally see, certainly on the strength of their more recent albums, but they also do have classic heritage second wave black metal albums now. But with albums like this, I see them being a future Bloodstock Festival headliner or a Damnation Festival headliner easily. And we've got to start thinking about that we are rapidly approaching a time where our greats in metal are coming up to the point where they're starting to slowly tick off the list now. Motorhead have gone, Sabbath have gone. I'm sure that Maiden and Metallica have many years left in them, but I personally can see a band like Dark Funeral being right up there as a big festival headliner in years to come. Maybe with another couple of solid, robust albums, they'll do it. But they are an amazing band. Definitely support them. Check them out. They are amazing on studio. And all of these reissues that I've just taken you through here, right from the EP up to, or the In the Sign, up to Angelus, they all have some fantastic live tracks recorded at various times, or it might just be the same event, I'm not really sure. South America, recorded in South America, Buenos Aires, I think. And they're amazing. They sound fantastic live. Absolutely amazing. As I say, I really do hope to catch them in January. We'll have to see about that one, but I'm really hopeful that I can organise that one. But just to recap, Dark Funeral, second wave black metal band, founded in 1993, Stockholm, Sweden, are a band you absolutely need to hear. Now, if I was going to pick a couple of albums to be a starting point that you definitely need to check out, I would of course have to reach for the second album, Vobiscum Satanas, because that is crucial. And I'm going to defy convention here, and I'm going to reach for the slightly more accessible and melodic, atmospheric album, Where Shadows Forever Reign. So check those out. If you are a fan, let me know, of course. But if you've not heard Dark Funeral, check them out. Let me know your thoughts and opinions, of course. Do your homework. Put the time in. It's well worth it, and you will be richly rewarded. Grab yourself a delicious pint. Get your whatever it is, your Spotify, YouTube up, whatever, and just delve into some amazing black metal. So thank you very much for watching, my friends. Do, of course, feel free to get interacting here. Comments, shout out, whatever. Get involved. Thanks again. Do feel free to like, subscribe, share. The support is very much appreciated. Do check back soon for more reviews and recommendations of all the good heavy things. Until next time, take care of yourselves and stay freaking heavy.